Never stay in a toxic relationship or in an abusive relationship and claim that you are doing it for your kids. Because what you are doing is prolonging the abuse for yourself and subjecting your kids to a toxic environment. I know we all dream of a complete family structure whereby kids get to grow under both parents. But that does not always guarantee that kids who are raised by both parents go on to become something in life. We have had kids who were raised by both parents, well off parents, but they went on to be disappointments to their parents. They went on to, embarrass their parents. They went on to not amount to anything in life, if I can put it that way. But then we had kids who were raised by single parents or were even orphans, but they went on to amount to big things in life. So, kids growing under both parents does not always guarantee the success of their kids. As a parent, you do not have the destiny of your kids in your hands. Your kids have their own destinies in their hands. You can only guide them, you can only groom them, you can only expose them to opportunities. But it is up to your kids to grab those opportunities and take advantage of them. There are kids who were raised by pastors, but they went on to do opposite things from what their parents have been trying to teach them. Kids who grew up as orphans, they can go on and amount to big things in life. And kids who are raised by both parents, sometimes even well-off parents, they can go on and amount to nothing in life. So you've got no excuse to stay in a toxic relationship and claim it is for your kids. You are actually doing more harm to your kids by keeping them in an abusive and toxic family setup. The best you can do is leave that toxic relationship, leave that abusive relationship as soon as possible. By that, you are saving yourself and saving your kids simultaneously. You are better off co-parenting than being in a toxic relationship with your partner. As many people lose themselves for the sake of their kids. And then kids go on to grow under a lot of trauma, go on to grow under an unhealthy environment. Because when you wanted to keep the image for the public, you wanted to act like you come from, a warm home. Behind closed doors, you are suffering. But in public, you act like you come from a healthy family. Let people laugh. Let people laugh, let people mock you, let people judge you. But do what is important to you and your kids. We live in a different era whereby you cannot stick into a toxic relationship and say it is for the sake of your kids. People will always talk. People will always talk. Whether you like it or not, people will always talk. And in most cases, they talk of things they know nothing of. So, are you going to die because you don't want to be judged? Or are you going to live and let people do the talking? Save yourself from that toxic environment. Save yourself from that toxic and abusive relationship. And simultaneously, save your kids from such trauma. You are not just doing You are not just doing harm to yourself by staying in a toxic relationship, in an abusive relationship. You are also harming your kids. Get them out of that toxic environment as soon as possible. Whether they grow up with parents or not, their destiny is in their own hands. Like I said, we've had kids who grew up as orphans and they amounted to big things in life. And we've got kids who grew up with both parents, sometimes well off parents, but they went on to amount to nothing in life. So there is no excuse to stay in the toxic relationship. Your kids' destiny are not in your hands. Your kids' destiny are in your kids' hands. You can only guide them, you can only groom them, you can only expose them to opportunities in life, but you cannot push them to their destiny. They can push themselves. They will have to push themselves. There's only so much you can do for your kids. Everything else, you're going to have to trust your kids' natural instincts and their conscience. They're going to have to learn to make their own decisions. They're going to have to make mistakes and learn from them. They're going to have to learn to navigate themselves through this maze called life. You cannot do everything for your kids. You cannot protect your kids from everything. But you can protect them by taking them out of that abusive and toxic relationship. There is no excuse at all.